The American people realize that this cannot be made a fight between America's two great political parties. If this fight against communism is made a fight between America's two great political parties, the American people know that one of those parties will be destroyed and the republic can't endure very long as a one-party system.
Mass hysteria is one of those topics that drive a primal sort of fear into your soul. The very idea that entire groups of people are stricken by something not manifested by a deity or a beast, but by the collective fear of everybody around them, so chances are you're feared too. Imagine you're afflicted with this condition. Whatever horror you've been convinced of is as real as you or I. Your monster is real. So when you're walking alone at night and you hear in your earbuds that a serial killer, to get generic, is out hunting, maybe think twice about chasing your own echoing footsteps, because folks, the one following you is not a serial killer. It's your neighbors and your friends who have taken advantage of the chaos in the night to find an unsuspecting victim for whatever nefarious plot. Welcome everybody to the horrors of mass hysteria. Getting into technical definitions, mass hysteria is a type of conversion disorder, though you may not understand what that means. I certainly didn't. As a mental condition, conversion disorder converts, as the name suggests, your negative effects of your psychological well-being into physical and other psychological effects. As an example, your conversion disorder mixed with your ADHD may manifest as tics or seizures and such. An average of 7 out of every 100,000 patients are diagnosed with conversion disorder, making this extremely rare, and the majority of which being female. Though, as we'll soon learn with mass hysteria being a branch of conversion disorder, this statistic is much more substantial than you were led to believe. Now, the next part of this is a disclaimer, so if you want to skip this, you can go about here. That's perfect. For this topic, I've done all my own research, and all of this pretty much is entirely self-made. So if I get any information wrong or incorrect in some way, please make me aware of it. Point it out in the comments, whatever you have to do. And everybody who's looking for more accurate information, the comments may have what you're looking for. For those of you just getting here, my name is Jeff, and I'll be your tour guide through this topic. Offer you a chance to sit back and relax, watch or listen, whatever suits your fancy. Today, I hope your interests are piqued while we delve into mass hysteria together. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please comment it. I love reading your comments. They're the most interesting thing in the world to me. Let me paint you a picture, dear viewer. You're in England, 1938. The temperatures are a moderate 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It's just before World War II and tensions began to rise between the League of Nations and Germany. In West Yorkshire, in the then smaller town of Halifax, amidst the reports of robberies and trespassing events, the police receive a strange story.
Police department, what seems to be the problem?
Two women, Mary Gledhill and Gertrude Watts, claim to have been attacked by a mysterious man with a mallet and, quote, bright buckles on his shoes. Days later, another woman claimed to have been attacked by a man wielding a razor blade. This sparked newspapers to start printing about the coined Halifax slasher. By November 30th, the silent slasher of Halifax had claimed 12 victims, not but a week into these women claiming they had been attacked. One woman claimed she had been attacked twice, escaping both times and laying low as to not be attacked a third. In the news headlines of missing sea vessels and stock prices, another attack was cited. Two 14-year-old girls from Manchester, not 30 miles away. Marjorie Murphy was slashed across the arm with what was described only as a sharp instrument. Ivy Smythman was wounded similarly while walking a dark passage near her home. Teachers at Halifax schools began to arrange for children to go home in groups or with escorts, and in rare cases they would close down the school early as to not make the children walk home in the dark. Many events were cancelled, such as the police dance and the rugby union club, giving their services to those who needed it. Many people began to theorize that the attacks were due to religious reasons, though after 12 of the 13 were found to be of varying religious denominations, 3 of which being Roman Catholic, this was heavily discredited. Soon after, the police force called upon the Scotland Yard, who immediately began investigation and questioning. The police at this point had placed a 10-pound reward on whoever can catch the Halifax slasher, or roughly 1,082 American dollars. Political parties in the area began to worry that these publications would deter women from going to the polls and voting, and similarly that men would be too busy with volunteer work to be able to attend. The same day, 3 more reports were received from women attacked by the Halifax slasher, though the police deemed them as unsubstantiated. Willing helpers began to aid women going to and from the polls. People in neighboring towns began to report attacks. A mysterious man attacked a farmer's wife and cut her, and many young men have been knocked about after being mistaken for the slasher. A woman crossing the street bumped into a man who pulled a razor blade on her and cut her right leg before running off. This is our slasher's MO. And just as quickly as it began, within 2 weeks, it was over. Newspapers began to pump out headlines speaking against the validity of the Halifax slasher. Titles such as Halifax Slasher is a myth and Halifax Slasher Quiet began to take newspapers by force. People began to see through the shroud of fear and realized that these attacks were not done by one man, but the people around them, whoever they may be. In a retrospective interview in May of 2007, the host asked a listener in BASIC, who was this Halifax Slasher? Although paraphrased, she said that there was no Halifax Slasher, bringing evidence that one of the victims had actually confessed to harming herself. The half-crazed wild man was as dead as the belief in his story. A severe case of mass hysteria and something to haunt our peripherals while we walk home at night. But this pit of mass hysteria extends beyond this. I understand you may feel more secure in modern day. I mean, technology and science and your intelligence is there to protect you. But I'm here to tell you that's not always the case. In 2002, there was an object seen over North India in the state of Uttar Pradesh. This object attacked over 100 villagers of Uttar Pradesh. These people would see a flashing light, feel an electric shock, and then blunt force. These people would emerge with scratches on their face and limbs, earning this object the name the Pushkinovo, or the face scratcher. But the true start of the story begins with the entity attached to it, aka the thing doing the scratching. This beast would reportedly dash through the air like a UFO, emitting red and green beams of light. This creature would slash at people with steel claws. The victims would awake with scratching down their neck and arms. These victims would experience extreme bleeding and a burning sensation. In rare cases, this beast was reported to enter homes, but most of the time this was not the case. Soon the word spread, hundreds coming to give their statement on the Pushkinovo and their experiences of it. One researcher stated that there were many descriptions as there were witnesses, from giant insects to flying cushions. People have since theorized extraterrestrial involvement, though I see no reason to draw any connection other than the fact that it was just a flying object. Contrary to what you might think, witnesses were hard to come by for this case, as everybody knew somebody who had seen it, yet nobody themselves had. People would perform ceremonies, thinking this beast to be an angry ghost or restless spirit who needed to be pacified. This creature was the subject to many village security committees. People would huddle in front of their houses with oil lamps and whatever else they could find in order to finish the creature. People began to remove their television antennas in fear that this creature may be attracted to them. Soon just mentioning the name would cause panic in the area. In one case, a man had fired his weapon into the sky in order to kill the creature, but the bullet had strayed and hit his own mother. Tensions began to rise, and police refused to do anything, believing it to hold no more power than the boogeyman. It was only when the police fired in the air to disperse the crowd, killing one person, that they realized the police were not going to help them. Soon rationalists came in for the unrelated reason of providing water storage to the locals. There was a heavy drought in the area, which drove the locals closer to these rationalists. Soon, the nights that were once filled with fear began to simmer, and the story of the Pushkinovo became just that. In the aftermath, it was alleged that over 70 people had been made victims by this beast, though when examining the wounds, the scratches were unspecific, leading researchers to believe it was either self-infliction or unrelated reasons. To further ease the public's fears, the Air Force used a radar to detect any flying creatures in the air, which they brought up nothing. One of the prevalent theories for the light in the sky was ball lightning, a very rare phenomenon which was extenuated by the drought. Now when I say rare, I mean this happens almost 1 in every 10,000 thunderstorms on the high end, though this would explain the zap people feel when they see this light. The very rudimentary science of ball lightning being that dust is kicked up into the atmosphere by whatever means, which explains why it would be extenuated by a drought, is kinetically charged in clouds and basically leading to a ball of lightning, as the name suggests. Though still, ball lightning would never occur at the prevalence in which these sightings occurred. Most assume mass hysteria had an enormous impact in this event. But what it always comes down to, failure of the government. The government had sent 5,000 troops to help hunt down this creature, yet did not offer their services to those who needed it. Now, this case is often grouped with the Monkey Man of New Delhi, but I don't see any similarity between them pretty much at all, other than the fact of them both taking place in India. Now, the Puškinovo actually became somewhat of a pop culture icon, being featured in the movie Delhi 6 in 2023. So that's it, folks. 2 cases revolving around mass hysteria. I do hope you enjoyed. It was quite the ride. The masses seek their goals no matter how misguided. You remember that. And for the first time, folks, have a wonderful rest of your night.
Parties. The American people know that one of those parties will be destroyed, and the Republic can't endure very long as a one-party system.
But on February 4th, 1954, Senator McCarthy spoke of one party's treason. This was Charleston, West Virginia, where there were no cameras running. It was recorded on tape.